Your room seems different. And men are coming.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
I am trying to tell you that you have to watch out. Things can happen. Something happened to me. Something happened to me.
Help the good work, boy. Do it while the spirit's in you.
Come in, done it. Good evening. This is Henry Armitage. I'm speaking to you from... Dr. Rice, please close the window. I'm speaking to you from my laboratory on the slopes of Sentinel Hill near Dunwich, Massachusetts. Present with me is Dr. Warren Rice, my distinguished colleague from Miskatonic University. We are now about 100 yards from the summit of the hill, which is crowned by a huge table-like stone set in the center of a circle of stone pillars, a place of prehistoric worship. Dr. Rice and I know the horror which their barking portends, but the purpose of this broadcast is to make this unbelievable horror believable to you. I hope for your sakes and ours we are successful tonight. It is the eve of All Hallows. Tomorrow will be too late.
rispettabile pubblico, domando vegna, ma ho il compito assai ingrato di parlarvi dell'inferno. L'inferno è come un cartoccio. In basso i peccatori occasionali che forse presto avranno finito di soffrire per quanto ne sappia, e su di loro i diversi gironi, il più alto dei quali è sulla terra dove c'è il nostro inferno. Creato dalle menti più acute, subdole e smaliziate del genere umano. Questa sovvertita comunità è affidata alle cure di un satanasso che dall'incessante progredire dell'umanità è di continuo rigenerato fino a essere sempre più simile all'uomo, scusate, stavo quasi per dire spiritualizzato. Ci sono persone che ritengono che Dio sia morto, forse anche mai esistito. Loro pensano che il cielo sia vuoto e irraggiungibile e che il male esplichi verso il mondo la stessa funzione meccanica delle altre leggi naturali, nel mentre che il bene rappresenta la più inspiegabile perversione dell'umanità. Una simile opinione servirebbe egregiamente come sfondo a una tragedia, ma noi rappresentiamo una commedia e ci serve uno sfondo diverso. L'inferno si distende dunque sottoterra. Dio e la sua corte d'angeli popolano i superiori 7 cieli. Tra questi due regni, come tra i fulmine e martello, c'è la terra degli uomini, con tutto il suo splendore e con la sua ricchezza. Ciò premesso, diamo inizio alla nostra commedia.
Questo è il potere dell'ultimo cavaliere. Immaginare il mondo che vuole.
Squire and his number runs in Antichi, the last great hero of the medieval age, goes around seeking for a battle with a giant, but there were no giants for many miles around. So they saw through the wrong, the evil wizard's spell was strong. Ow! He shot the stripper down from head to foot. He decided to imitate the lunacy of Orlando, hitting very bad with his head against the rocks. Sancho tried to dissuade it, but he spoke like that. Evil wizards go around looking for bad things.
Questo è il potere dell'ultimo cavaliere. immaginare il mondo che vuole.
In this adventure, title find ourselves in the clothes of the terrible witch known as Witcholina, while Michael plays the role of the American friend who, following an ancient and mysterious map, got lost in the woods of Kuma, nearby Naples. There he met the terrible witch. The encounter will change their life for good.
Are you lost? Yappadoo to me. You feel my whole body new to me. I went down to Napoli. People sing down to Napoli. Love is king down to Napoli. I never had something sweet like a song. I had to go, I knew something was wrong. I got so lost upon my way. Out of the darkness, pale skin, black hair, I jumped and tried to hide my appreciation. She knocked on my windshield to say, are you lost? I do to me something strange that you do to me, feeling new in my nudity. Witcholina, she said was her name. I felt her reaching inside my brain. Like your mother said, look at me and your blood is red. We are free though we may be dead. Spiraling eyes and the wind from her hair, leaves and my car spinning up in the air. I could tell you that map was good. It led me straight into that witchy wood.
A map that I bought from a strange kind of guy who said all the old map makers told me that I had to give you this now, and I never knew why. I could tell that the map was good. It led me straight to the wood.
In my brain, I could tell that map was good. It led me straight into that witchy wood.
Do you think that the dimension that you transition to is all love, light, and free, and happiness?
No.
It isn't. It is 3D is anchoring down the rest. And until this is fixed, it's causing trouble for the other higher frequencies too. That's why the higher vibrational beings are incarnating down here. People are not realizing it's so in your face. It's so clearly in your face, and that people are still not realizing that it's going on, that pedophilia is becoming acceptable on television, that they're inverting sexuality, that they're emasculating men, that they're masculizing females. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning was the Word. And how do you come up with a word? How do you bring into existence a word? You spell it. So it's like casting a spell on someone. Given a name, all of a sudden, it's a name that's put into your spirit. It's put into your mind. Now that name represents that person, that thing, that project, space flight. Because it puts you into the mind of NASA and rockets and astronauts. So words are very important. Words are light swords. You can cut somebody deeply. Got 30 years in the federal penitentiary. Now all of a sudden you need a good lawyer who knows what the words mean and knows how to talk and walk the walk. Talk to talk, walk the walk, because your life is hanging in the balance. So words can make you happy, words can put you in prison, words can cause you to commit suicide. And of course, the most important word that in your life is your name. And look at the dotted line that you sign on with the magnifying glass, and you will find out they're not dots, they're letters. It's the fine print. You just signed on it, airhead. You just signed it. The lawyer told you, read the fine print. The Vatican was the single biggest enemy of freedom, dignity, and honor the world has ever known. It was a Roman system, a dirty and fascist Roman system.
They meet each other, no one knows they fall in love. Fireworks until the end. No one knows they share a dream, no one knows they walk together to win a stand. In that lab they used to sing, in that lab they used to dance, under the light of the stars. Lab they love to talk, in that lab they wanna be wide open heart. And she said,
my dear will, now I feel, now my eyes love can see. We should them
dear Marilyn, I can feel in my skin, je t'aime aussi. He was lying back revealing, she was standing there unveiling, sharing their secret words. No one knows their daring plan to save disconnected man from empty love. Just by you, my lovely doctor, just by you, nobody else. I wanna be organized. This love bomb is really thrilling. This love bomb is going to shut them among the stars. And she said,
My dear will, now I feel, now my eyes love can see. Je t'aime.
oh my dear Marilyn, I can feel in my skin, je t'aime aussi.
And that is a story I wanted to tell you. The story is about a book that was written many, many years ago about all of the gods of the universe and who they are and who runs what. He said that there were 3 angels, glowing angels, that floated up to him. And the muses telepathically, Hesiod said, tell him that they wanted him to write a book about the gods that ruled over the heaven. But they said to him that they would guide him. And they told him that the god that was over our particular solar system section in the Milky Way was a god named Zeus. They said that Zeus lived on a floating city that floats in the sky that is in the constellation of Cassiopeia. The muses went on to tell Hesiod that if Zeus were to drop an anvil from his front porch, it would take 9 days and 9 nights until it hit the earth. Zeus was our father who was in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. In the Vatican, there's a statue of Peter sitting in a chair and people are kissing his feet. It's not Peter, it's Pater, Pater or Jupiter, and it's Zeus. And so today, Catholics and Christians the world over are still on their knees praying and in the Vatican kissing the feet of Jupiter. The entire world of mankind is kissing the feet of Zeus, Pater, or Jupiter. The more they pray, the worse the world gets. You know, that's why the Bible has Jesus saying, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." You have eyes that do not see. You have ears that do not hear. with your heart you do not get the sense of it. Religion is misleading the whole human race. People are unwittingly around the world blindly being led into the worship of ancient gods.
You have eyes that do not see.
You have eyes that do not see.
You have ears that do not hear.
You have ears that do not hear. And with your heart you do not get the sense of it. Governments are misleading the whole human race. Commerce and banks and all the other institutions in our universities are misleading people. In Rome, they kept the same god, but they called him Jupiter. And another name for Jupiter in the Latin was Jove. Jove was Jupiter. God is love. No, God is not love. Jove, not love. God is J-O-V-E. You know, God is love. No, it's God is Jove.
You have eyes that do not see.
You have eyes that do not see.
You have ears that do not hear.
And you have ears that do not hear. And with your heart you do not get the sense of it. In the ancient world too, believed that the god Zeus protected royalty. And so this is why today we have all of these schmogalagama, mentally deranged humans running around calling themselves royals. They have a divine right of kings. What do you mean divine right? Well, Zeus is our god. He's the god who protects royalty. They have a divine right of kings. They are divinely inspired and divinely appointed by some demonic ancient god called Zeus. Everything you see is unreasonable. It makes no sense. Everything you see is unreasonable. It makes no sense. I'm just amazed at how much the world has lost its mind. We've lost everything. We've lost our freedom. We've lost our country because we're ignorant, ill-informed, and unread. My God, it's frightening where the human race will finally end up 1,000 years from today.
Is it cold?
Freezing. But all old castles are like that. To tell you the truth, Castle Halloran gives me nightmares. There it is.
Unbelievable.
One night my baby and me to the drive-in went to see our favorite films in a horror film marathon where we just had to be. Night of the Living Dead, The Thing, The Evil Dead, and when they stole that baby from poor Rosemary, And in the drive-in were screens. It seems nobody ever could leave. Days drinking from soda streams in a corporate movie food dream. Pale little women in nothing but smile, bringing boxes of sweets. Everything for candy files. Everything, all that we were eating was so sugary, and the stupidity turned us into zombies in an orgy of greed, driving, devouring need. One last kiss with some teeth to taste what's beneath. Maybe I should have been cool, let the moment pass by while. Moments pile into months, the driving style. Many of us look a little bit strange, ferocious and ruthless, teeth have all changed. Everything, all that we were eating was so sugary, and the stupidity turned us into zombies in an orgy of greed, driving, devouring need. One last kiss, some teeth to taste what's beneath. One night, my baby and me went to the drive-in to see, and then I lost the way. Nothing is the same. I ate my baby's brain. One night my baby had drove into the zone. One last kiss with some teeth and to taste what's beneath.
This reptilian, vampiric consciousness that has control of this planet is basically a fear-based, they're a fear-based consciousness. If they weren't a fear-based consciousness, they wouldn't need to control everything. If you're in fear, you have to control everything around you. If you are centered and balanced in yourself, you don't need to control things around you. Let's say 11,000 BC, there was a very similar situation that is happening now, that was happening then. Everybody in this room was there back then too. You wouldn't be here listening to me speak if you weren't back there then at that time as well. You're magnetically drawn to this particular area now and into this room now because you subconsciously know that we are now repeating a cycle again. everybody in here knows each other on some level. It was said that the Nazis and Germany lost the war, and the Allies won, and the Allies won. But what this consciousness does on this planet is it inverts everything. It twists, it flips it on its head, so that you don't really know what's going on. Inversion is one of the key things that it does. So, to put it to you, what happens, or what would you think if the Allies didn't win the war, and that was a trick, and that in fact the Nazis did win the war?
Suono un Casio al piano bar, sto aspettando il mio cinar. Sulle note di Only You una lacrima fa giù, chissà dove finirà. C'è dolore in questo bar, una coppia sta soffrendo. Vorrebbe dire che lei non vuole ascoltare, già so come finirà. Che tragedia al piano bar, è in pericolo l'amore. Lei le lancia un bicchiere, lui si scansa al bicchiere, e uccide il cameriere. Contro il corpo del dolore io scateno il mio potere, con le mani piene di olio io lubrifico l'amore tra di voi. Super l'amore al piano bar, e risolto il cameriere, rosa fuoco nelle vene, il cagnette fanno miau, il miccione fanno wow. Lui la spoglia, il lei lo bacia, tra la gente al piano bar. Condividono l'amore, finalmente il cameriere ha portato il mio cinar. Super love, super love, super love.
1970, the United States Air Force shut down Project Blue Book, their 20-year investigation into UFOs. They concluded that no credible evidence existed, and therefore they posed no threat to national security. In other words, a massive cover-up. Cheers. Military and FBI formed a top-secret task force to explore the troubling abstractions raised by cases Blue Book failed to resolve. We called it the Blue Rose after a phrase uttered by a woman in one of these cases just before she died, which suggested these answers could not be reached except by an alternate path we've been traveling ever since. Gordon suggested an agent by the name of Philip Jeffries head the squad. He soon recruited 3 others. Myself, Chet Desmond, and Dale Cooper.
Before he disappeared, Major Briggs shared with me and Cooper his discovery of an entity, an extreme negative force called in olden times Jiao Day. Over time, it's become Judy. Major Briggs, Cooper, and I put together a plan that could lead us to Judy.
You're asking me to join the Blue Rose Task Force?
Yep.
I'm in.
I'll brief you in detail in the morning.
Tammy and the Blue Rose.
When Columbus discovered America, a series of mysteries arose to confound the scholars of Europe. Here are 2 continents, completely isolated from each other, yet they simultaneously developed similar cultures. For example, the Mayans measured time on the same principle as the Gregorian calendar of Europe. They used the same signs of the zodiac, the same decimal and mathematical system. They valued silver and gold, using both for jewelry and barter. Another mystery was the banana plant, a native of Asia that cannot be grown from seed. Yet Columbus found it thriving in the New World. Elephants at that time did not exist in the Americas, yet their likenesses were cleaved on the walls of prehistoric caves in Peru. The pyramids in Mexico and in Egypt were built on identical architectural principles. Then there was a striking resemblance of a witch of Spain and the witch depicted in the New World. But the most significant of all, Mayan and Aztec legends shared with Greek and Hebrew and Assyrian literature an account of a terrible deluge. a deluge many believe had destroyed the link, the mother empire that had spread her civilization to both sides of the Atlantic. The Greek scholar Plato recorded this theory first over 2,000 years ago. There was once another continent, Atlantis.
After the Great Enlightenment, Title and Mytle are ready to see the very last truth. Title lands in a falling world, right in the middle of the apocalypse, and meets again Mytle as a shy French librarian, not married and ready for love.
I wish I knew what you were saying to me. It doesn't really matter. I like that.
Tu parlerai con me,
Mi piccolina,
tu parlerai con me, tu parlerai con me,
until it's over.
tu parlerai con me.
Hear that sound? That's the end of all the world. Why don't you stay in my arms and be my girl? In this world, women fight other men, misusing power over anyone they feel is not like them. We must strive to keep ourselves alive. I have a plan to save us both, to live a better life. Tu parlerai con me, tu parlerai con me. I can hear the apocalypse outside. Good thing we're here together, dancing calypso while we hide. One day we will tell our children of this night, and we will laugh when we remember the fire and the fright. Mi piccolina, in the fire, until it's over. Tu parlerai con me.
Là tranquille.
Oh yeah.
Dans la bibliothèque.
I know there's no time. Oh yeah.
Je parle français.
Hear that sound? That's the end of all the world. Why don't you stay in my arms and be my girl? Hombre eléctrico te pregunta por qué, junto a su enchufe siempre me quedaré.
Non mi cantare, las abejas y las flores de colores.
Y del gran misterio del amor.
El toro negro llega y quema el corazón. Devora cada alma, no hay excepción. Déjame conducirte. Las chicas, chicos, los besitos.
Y del rancho fango del amor.
El toro negro llega y quema el corazón. Devora cada alma y no hay excepción.
How about pobre hombre eléctrico se pregunta por qué junto al enchufe siempre me quedaré. Siempre me quedaré.
Quando miro ojos azules tan cambiados, allora arriba.
Que descubres los encantos del amor.
El toro negro llega y quema el corazón. Devora cada alma y no hay excepción.
Pobre hombre eléctrico se pregunta por qué junto a su enchufe siempre me quedaré. A veces el hombre eléctrico sueña sin algún tabú, libre y feliz en el vasto cielo azul.
And so there's a world of difference between English and British. Brit comes from the word bereth, which is a contract, and ish in Hebrew is man or men. Therefore, bereth-ish is a contract or covenant man. Man of the contract. What contract? Oh, man of the covenant. What covenant? What are you talking about, covenant? Well, they're the Brit-ish. Ish is Hebrew. Bereth is Hebrew. The whole thing has to do with Jewish banking in the city. It's called the city.
La micaouette me fait la tête. Cacahuète, la petite Noé ne veut plus me parler. Canoë.
So now you need to go back and start doing something that you've never done before. Start thinking. Start asking questions.
La micao, ma micao. Cacao, la petite ramelle m'est infidèle. Caramel.
Most people are not aware of the fact that English is a design language.
Monsieur Hannibal mine le moral. Cannibale, Mamselle Leçon me traite de con. Mademoiselle JB, traite d'abruti. KJB, l'ami Ouchou, jette des cailloux. Caoutchouc.
Which gives us our word covenant, gives us our word coven, like a witch's coven, because it's a covenant. So when you go to London, you're in London, but you're not in the city. The city is 1 mile square in the middle of London, and that is not part of England at all.
Le petit Mambert me jette des pierres. Camembert.
Why? It's because English gives you a particular mindset. It's a big club and you ain't in it.
What's the one question you should ask me?
What's the significance of the blue rose?
An answer.
Blue rose does not occur in nature. It's not a natural thing. The dying woman was not natural. Conjured. What's the word? A tulpa.
Good.
Coffee time.
We've been separated from nature since the very beginnings of our Western mythology. Hercules killed all the animals, cleaned out the stables. That's what the hero's supposed to do, is kill off the animals. Moses, was against the golden calf. The people would worship the golden calf when he was up there getting the commandments or talking to God or whatever he was doing up there. When he came down, they had been worshiping an animal. So he separated God from animal. Previously, in Egypt and many other cultures, God and animal were one. This was finished with Moses, finished with Hercules, finished with Gilgamesh. So the very beginnings of our consciousness have to do with separating it from the animal. That's nature. Well, we can't be separate from nature. We are nature. I mean, our cells are alive, our nerve fibers are alive. What are those minerals? They also must in some way be nature. I mean, it's ridiculous that the minerals that we pour into ourselves thinking this is not animated. Talking about nature is very difficult. There are 60 definitions of the word nature. So what we're talking about sometimes is an idealized image of I don't know what. But even to think that we're separated from nature is somehow a thinking disorder. You can't be separated from nature. Why we think that way is the interesting thing. It's what happens in the mind that likes to think that it's separated from nature. Does that mean that the mind or the human being thinks he's now more free, or that the human being thinks he's now superior? In other words, what does it do for you to think you're separated from nature? superiority, that's number one. Number two, that you can control it. You can put a dam on a river, and you can chop down a tree, and you can do any damn thing you want to do because you're not nature. And the mind is where the soul is. So, you know, Descartes created litter. There'd be no litter in the world. He made the world dead, soulless. And so being separated, it turns the world into litter, waste matter, products for human use. That's the advantage of thinking this way. And look what it did. We had 300-400 years of industrialization and colonialization and deforestation and everything else that's highly successful from the point of view of a separated from nature person. Now we're suffering the backlash.
Le triple 8, c'est symbolique, ni papouasien, ni britannique. C'est un grand pont métaphysique, bien au-delà du monde quantique. Voilà la Terre, agent spécial, triple 8. Elle se promène sur la planète, entièrement super équipée, pour affronter les scientifiques et leur objectivité. Voilà la Terre, agent spécial, triple 8. Et 10 000 mères avec leurs filles, englouties dans le vortex. Les hommes et les pères de famille, tous coincés dans leurs réflexes. Shake the snake et danse la rumba. Le problème est de géométrie, ancienne technique de magie, et d'une manière pythagorique, divise lettres en petites briques. Voilà la Terre, agent spécial, triple 8. Il y a la droite et puis la gauche, porter la barbe ou la moustache. Et tout le monde doit choisir dans l'illusion d'une liberté sans protection. Les Inuits sont dévorés par le progrex, mais comme une flamme, le triple 8 avec ses excellents réflexes. Shake the snake et danse la rumba.
Members of the Grand Council, you have just witnessed a live transmission, remote control from the Arctic region.
Through the inducement of regulated tremors along the established fissures in the Earth's crust, we are now able to control local weather conditions throughout the world.
For the more skeptical among you,
Seismology reports a Richter reading of 4.9 at both locations.
People are not going to be able to change anything. They can cry and complain about the system we live under and all the injustices and all that. Why? Because we don't have the power to do anything. Why? Because knowledge is power. and the people have no understanding whatsoever of how the world really works and where it came from, how it got here. They don't know the world they live in. The world that we live in has hit the bottom quite a few years ago and is now going beneath the bottom. It's unfortunate, but it's true. The entire world of mankind is so corrupt, so ignorant, so ill-informed, so dim-witted, and so I don't think there's any hope for the human race. Many times I heard people saying to me, well, you know, people are waking up now. People are now waking up. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I say, yes, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train coming. It's just amazing how much has been done in the past 100 years to the human family. And unless you go down deep into the darkness and to the underbelly of civilization and find out where things originated, where did we get the idea, the very concept of religion or worship of God? Where did we get the idea for banks, government, and especially pusillanimous ideas like royalty? Today I look at the world around me and I realize that there is not one single place on the earth that is not totally and absolutely corrupt. Period. Family, intellectual honesty. People look at crap and lies and deception and act like they don't see it. Hollywood is trying every way possible to tell you what the world sees you as zombies.
If reality is being made through the subconscious, and again the subconscious has been hijacked. They have created thought prisons, philosophical thought prisons or religious thought prisons, that they don't mind which one you buy into, as long as you buy into one of them and give your whole heart into it. Because essentially this is a war on the human heart. And Earth is the final part of multiple other planets. This has been done to, and Earth is the heart center place. So they're trying to take control of the Earth because it's the heart. The first thing you're going to do if you're going to take over a planet is you want to take away the strongest male energy. The inversion of the original Baphomet. The original Baphomet wasn't an androgynous goat of Mendez pointing as above, so below like that at all. take out the planet, first of all, they need to take away the strong males of the planet. And so there's a massive push and a surge to emasculate the males on this planet. It's a very touchy subject because you can't really go too far with it without being called a bigot or without being called...
Well, it's a bit like the Jew term.
Yeah.
Immediately triggered.
You're immediately condemned if you say anything that goes against kind of the mainstream thought of that. The Earth is the heart and our connection to the Earth. All the human beings on the Earth are connected to the heart. The pedophile rings are to do with attacking the innocence of human beings. The way to do that is attack innocence. The attack on children. Children are watching the most unbelievably vile things. It's one of the sidearms taking away the innocence because the core heart is innocent. The natural creative sacred geometrical patterns have been inverted. Because that's part of the contract as well. That's part of the thing. If they tell you what they're doing and you're not smart enough to pick it up, then they can get away with it karmically. If they tell you and you don't do anything about it, then it's more for you. This particular consciousness that is doing this here is purely and simply a vampiric consciousness. It doesn't have a central core energy to feed itself. It has to take from others. It doesn't naturally understand what giving is. It has to take from other beings. That's how it works. This false reality that's manifested and created here is done by embedding images and sounds and ideas into children's minds, and then you grow up having and thinking that you're given what the fundamental ideas of what we're told history is and how we're told the world is, and then that is then put to the conscious mind, and then so we believe it to be, so then we manifest a false reality. So we're living out a reality that really wouldn't be isn't our natural state at all. They don't understand the love energy. They don't understand it. So their mentality is to conquer and destroy, and it's always about self-preservation. If it's young or weakened, it discards them and throws them away. The mammalian consciousness feeds its young and nurtures its young, takes care of it. I've talked about the Mona Lisa thing. It never made any sense to me why that particular picture or that particular painting was the most famous painting in the world. And in Freemasonry, they use the word Mona a lot because it's Ammon. It's an anagram for Ammon. And then Lisa, in Italian, it would be El Isa. Isis, so it's like the union of Ammon-Ra and Isis into one body. That's what the Baphomet is.
Thank you.